So good morning. We're doing this Kriya, the Kriya for the Pituitary Gland series today. This is week 49 of our year-long COVID series. We started this when we went into lockdown on March 15th. So it's hard to believe that was 334 days ago, or our 49th week. This is a wonderful Kriya. I think I might put it in my top 5 for actual physical workout, and also the ability for it to quiet the mind and really be present in those final meditation asanas. So I invite you to sit up tall. As soon as you sit up tall, imagine there's a string pulling the top of your head up into the ceiling. At the same time, your shoulders are relaxed and down. I'm just sitting in easy pose, Sukhasana, but you could be sitting in a chair. You can sit in Virasana, rock pose with buttocks on heels. You could sit with one leg extended. I want you to be comfortable. These opening moments, we're connecting with our breath. This life force, this constant companion. Our cells are ravenous for oxygen, and so we give them that action and the oxygen with this long, deep breathing. And in Kundalini Yoga, all the breath work takes place through the nose, inhaling and exhaling. We'll be using breath of fire today. That forced exhale through the nose, automatic inhale. You'll be using 2 blocks, and it would be nice to have a chair handy. We're going to use it for a plank pose and a down dog. So if it can be against the wall, that's ideal, or that it's really secure on your mat. Let's bring our hands to prayer position for the opening Adi mantra, the Ong Namo Gurudev Namo. It's an opening ritual for all Kundalini Yoga classes. It just sets an intention for the practice. The Sanskrit or Gurmukhi languages, they vibrate. So try to get the NG of the Ong onto the soft palate and let it vibrate through your facial mask. We chant it 3 times, once for ourselves, once for each other in the virtual space, and once for the greater world. I'm honoring that divine creative force that lives inside of me, that lives inside of you, and lives throughout the world. 3 big inhale exhales. Adi mantra. Om Namo Gurudev Namo. Om Namo Gurudev Namo. Om Namo Gurudev Namo. Open the eyes. We'll come onto all fours for a very short warm up of our back. This Kriya has a lot of movement, so we'll warm up within the Kriya, but beginning with cat-cows. Inhaling through the nose, exhaling through the nose. Inhale as the belly comes forward in that cat pose. Exhaling as you're rounding the spine in the the lower belly is cow pose, I'm sorry. The rounded spine is cat pose. And come to all fours. Let's just take the right foot, curl the toes under of that right foot, and then try to draw the heel towards the mat. You really stretch out the calves. Imagine the calf muscle lengthening and widening at the same time. Really stretching it out. If this is hard on your wrists for any reason, you could make fists or you could come down onto your forearms. Take that right knee down to the mat. Extend the left toes under of the left foot. Draw the heel towards the mat. Brings your buttocks in alignment. You're elongating your spine, looking straight down at your mat, conscious of your cervical spine. Imagine those calf muscles on the left calf are lengthening and widening. Let's take the knees wide on the mat and just bend, push back your buttocks towards your heels towards your buttocks, and bring the arms forward onto the mat. Maybe you can get your forehead to the mat. We're highlighting the pituitary gland today, which is at the base of the hypothalamus. It's right in the middle of the skull, part of the endocrine system. Maybe you can take your fingers on the mat and try to inch them a little bit forward. You really feel the ball and socket joint of your shoulder in its full extension. Breathing long and deeply, you're stretching out the spine. Now slowly draw the hands back under the shoulders. Take the knees under the hips, and you're going to push back into your downward facing dog. Adho Mukha Svanasana, walking out the dog. We're going to begin by going into our low lunge, starting the Kriya. So before I get up in that position, I'm going to put 2 blocks near the top of my mat. Actually, you could take the blocks in your hands now. I'm on my knees. So I'm on my blocks. I'm using them for support. I'll wait for you to get in position here. Looks like everybody's ready. Then you'll push back into your downward facing dog. Feel that downward facing dog with the blocks there. All of a sudden your arms are so much longer. I have them on the medium position, but do whatever position works best for you, low, medium, high. Now take the right leg up to the ceiling, kick it up, and then step it through. So my right foot comes forward. Should be a little bit easier with the blocks because your arms are longer. So for 60 seconds here, we're breathing long and deeply. You can have the knee hyperextended. It can be over the foot. This lunge stretch, the pose is called the back toes are flat on the mat. So I uncurled my toes. It's a harder position. You're amplifying the pose here. If that doesn't feel good, having the top of the foot on the mat, you can curl the toes back under. You can also drop the knee. So you could do this pose with a number of modifications, long, deep breathing. You're working the shoulders and the arms. Therefore, you're working your heart. Both legs are getting a nice stretch in different ways. So that's 1 minute. Now we're going to do 1 minute of breath of fire. So you can do that with the toes curled under. You can do it with the knee down. Let's begin. Breath of fire. Your belly, it just acts like a bellows. It's just pushing the air out. It doesn't have to be loud. I'm making it louder so to amplify it for you all. Big inhale in and hold the breath. Squeeze the bandhas and release. Take that left knee back to the mat. Just relax for a moment. You're going to come back and kick that right leg high to the ceiling again. I'm still holding on to my blocks, making my arms longer. It makes this pose a little bit easier. Inhale. Exhale, I'm going to bring my knee forward under my shoulders. The knee doesn't have to be turned out, so it's pretty much in line with the hip. I can remove the blocks. I very gingerly slide that left leg back. Should be no pain on the knee. If there is, ease off. You're breathing here long and deeply. Good morning, Rodney. Good morning, Roberta. Maybe you can bring your forearms down to the mat. And if it's available to you, maybe the forehead comes to a block, or it might come all the way to the mat. Just breathing long and deeply. It's actually a resting pose. If there's any pain on the knee, immediately come out. It's like you're wringing out a towel here. The blood flow has been minimized to the groin and the knee and the ankle too. So when we come out of it, blood will just flow into that whole lower extremity, flushing and cleaning. Okay, you're going to curl under those back toes. Bring the hands under the shoulders and lift the pelvis up. Unwind the leg. You can come back to a downward facing dog. You can shake it out, walk it out. You can use your blocks or not. So now we'll go right into the other side. So lift that left leg high up to the ceiling. You're going to step it through. Use your blocks, or maybe you don't want to use your blocks on this side, but I think using the blocks are great to just experience this downward facing dog as if you had really long arms. Now I've moved into the top of my right foot is now on the mat, so you can have the top of the foot on the mat, toes curled under, or you could drop the knee completely. Whatever works for you today. Long, deep breathing. You're rising up out of your waist. A very active pose. And with the top of the foot on the mat, that's the hardest, the most amplified. Toes curled under is a little bit easier. And then, of course, if your knee is down, that's the easiest. So you choose. Okay, that's 1 minute. I'm going to drop the knee for a moment, just give myself a little rest before I begin breath of fire for 1 minute. I think I'll move my blocks to the high position, the highest position, and see what that feels like. And lifting that back knee, I begin breath of fire. Big inhale in, squeeze anus, sex organs, pull the navel towards the spine, and release. I'm taking that knee down. I'm going to put my blocks in the medium position. I'm going to curl my back toes under, lifting my hips up, taking that front leg back now so it's coming up to the ceiling. Now I'll do pigeon on this side. So I'm going to bring this left knee forward, sliding back, being ever conscious of my knee. I'm going to flush this leg and groin out by compressing it. Maybe I can get down on my forearms. Maybe my forehead will come to a block. Maybe it'll come to the mat. Long, deep breathing. Remember, it's a resting pose. The lunges are stimulating for the heart, increases your respiration. So now you get this little rest. I like feeling my diaphragm too, where I'm compressed, leaning down onto my thighs. I really feel the diaphragm working the way it drops and expands. Okay, it's been a minute. Curl the back toes under that right foot. Draw your hands under your shoulders so you're ready to lift up the pelvis, unwind the foot, shake it out, stretch it out in your downward facing dog. Now you're going to slowly walk your hands back towards your feet. And for 2 minutes, we'll be in a front bend, deep forward bend. This is a complete inversion. Head is below the heart now. Your baroreceptors are kicking in. There's one in your carotid artery in your neck, and there's one in your aortic arch. And they help the body control the blood pressure by accessing the sympathetic or the parasympathetic nervous system. Long, deep breathing. Your diaphragm is compressed here over your thighs. Arms can dangle. You could grab opposite elbows. We're well into the second minute now. What's great about these inversions, when you come up, sometimes you get these wonderful moments of bliss. When I sense my body, my mind, my spirit, somehow everything's connected. There's a oneness of all of this experience of life. Okay, let's grab the front of our ankles with our palms. I grab quite tightly around my ankles. Then I'm really feeling my entire shin coming across the tibia and the fibula bones of the legs, across the knees. Keep the chin close to the chest, coming up your thighs. Your hands will be at your side. And you'll come all the way up into your Tadasana and just observe. Feet are grounded on the mat, all 10 toes. Feel those metatarsal bones and the meaty part of the ball of the foot. Feel your heel bone grounding. Feel the metatarsal arch. Exteroception, you're practicing what part of your body is making contact with the earth and how that feels. We apply this in the real world. That's when we have agility. We can move about over unfamiliar terrain and keep our balance. Okay, we're going to move into the ego eradicator, one of Kundalini's famous poses. So my feet for this ego eradicator are just hip width distance apart. I'm making fists with the thumb extended like I'm hitchhiking. My arms are coming straight out 60 degrees. My elbows are straight. I'm looking straight ahead. Breathing long and deeply for 2 more minutes. Wonderful place to observe the mind. Stay connected to your breath. All through the nose. Inhale, exhales, all through the nose. I sense these are getting easier for you. We've been doing them so many months now. You can use your back to help support your arms too. Use your back muscles, those rhomboids and trapezoids. Let them hold up the backbone, up the arms at the shoulders. Thirty more seconds. Wonderful place to observe your thoughts, emotions. Slowly float the arms down to your side. You'll feel this great release. Now let's move closer to our chairs. If they're against the wall, it's ideal, or make sure they're on your mat. We're just coming into a downward facing dog on the chair. So I'm grabbing the sides, or if that's not possible, just grab the front. I can't get my head as low as I would in a traditional downward facing dog. But this is a really good place to experience the long flat back that we use in sun salutations, stretching out the calves, the hamstrings, just breathing long and deeply. It's easier. You can do this pose longer here with the chair than if we had your palms on the mat. Keep breathing long and deeply, stretching out the shoulders. Almost there. See, this would be a very long held down dog if we didn't have the chair. It's a static pose, so your slow twitch muscle fibers are engaging. Now bend the knees and just take your palms down to the mat. I'm bending my knees and I'll just come down onto my knees and I'm going to make it all the way to my stomach. I'm going to lie on my stomach. My hands are at my side. I'm going to get a little rest here for 30 seconds. Take the left cheek to the mat. Arms are at your side, palms up. Feel your body making contact with the mat. Again, practicing exteroception. If this is hard on your neck, then move to a chin or a forehead. Okay, that's 30 seconds, so we'll go 30 seconds on the other side, right cheek to the mat, or chin or forehead. Feel your diaphragm pushing into the mat. And what that feels like on the big inhales when the diaphragm drops, expands. Belly pushes into the mat. Then on the exhale, the belly is drawing towards the spine. That's the proper way to breathe. Now take your hands and place them under your shoulders. We're setting up for a cobra. So your feet are together like the tail of the snake. I'm just going to lift my shoulders and face about 3 or 4 inches off the mat. I'm looking straight down at the mat. Long, deep breathing. You'll feel it in your lumbar. Just a nice little stretch. You're emphasizing the lordosis of the lumbar spine. Now try to slide the forearms forward and you'll be in your Sphinx pose. How does that feel on the lumbar? Still long, deep breathing. And then from here, bring the forehead back to the mat, slide the hands back under the shoulders, and try to push up all the way with long, straight elbows. Now, for some people, this feels fine. Other people, it does not feel good. My knees are still on the mat, so my quads are off the mat. So from here, we're going to do inhaling left with the neck, turning left, exhaling right. You could do it in the high cobra You can do it in Sphinx pose, or you could do it in low cobra. Whatever feels good. I'm inhaling left and I'm exhaling right. Close the eyes, really feel what it's like in the cervical spine. So you're practicing interoception, more awareness of your body from the inside out. Big inhale, lower the pelvis. Let's come into a Sphinx pose. So I'm on my forearms. And we're going to end with Mul Bandh here. So big inhale. Squeeze the anus, sex organs, pull the navel towards the spine. Interesting place to feel this. The belly is lifted off the spine. Chin is already dipped. You're still holding your breath. Unless you're on moon cycle, then no held breath, just long, deep breathing. And release. Let's do it one more time. Big inhale. Hold the breath, squeeze the bandhas. Stopping the energy flow for a few breath cycles. And release. Okay, take the head to the mat, hands under the shoulders. I'm pushing up, coming into a rock pose or Virasana. And my knees come wide. If this is uncomfortable on the backs of your feet, you can always put a blanket under this part of the ankle. It helps release the tension. You can also place a blanket on top of your heels. And it's also nice, I'm on carpet and a mat, but if I was on a hard floor, I might want a blanket under my knees as well. This is called full flower bowing. It's really a great pose. We're going to do it for 2 minutes. So my arms come up. It's like I'm greeting the morning or giving all of you a big virtual hug. Then on the exhale, my flat palms come right in front of my knees. I bring my forehead, my pituitary gland to the mat. Inhaling back up, giving myself this big bowing pose. A big pose of surrender. I read a great quote this morning from Angeles Arian. Nothing suffocates the life force more thoroughly than trying to control what's happening. Nothing suffocates the life force more thoroughly than trying to control what's happening. 30 more seconds of this full flower bowing. Be really conscious of your bodies, what's happening inside as you're moving through this full motion. Coming up now, I slide my knees together. So we're moving into this yoga mudra. So I'm sitting on my heels. I could have a blanket there. I'm going to interlace my fingers in Gyan Mudra, so all 10 fingers are together. Interlace behind the back. I'm going to bow forward. I like to have my head come to a blanket, my forehead. So inhale, exhale, and coming forward, trying to draw these arms up to 12 o'clock. This gets a little challenging to breathe, so just stay with it as well as you can. Try to keep the arms up as high as you can, opening up the shoulders, stretching the shoulders, pumping some lymph in the armpits. Should be no pain in the knees. If so, then ease off for sure. About another 10 seconds. Slowly lowering the arms down. Come to this Virasana pose. Just observe. Hands come, rest lightly on the thighs. Close the eyes, sit up tall. Just observe. Observing your breath, the connection of the physical body, your mental state, emotional state. Connecting with people outside of yourself to something greater than your individual self. Okay. This first pituitary gland kriya has ended. Now we're going to come on to our buttocks. You can sit flat on your mat, or you could sit in raised position. This is the life nerve stretch. So I'm going to flex my right foot. I'm going to draw my left heel into my groin. So I'm really stretching this sciatic nerve that runs all the way down the back of the leg here. You want to keep everything stretched. Well, you can't stretch the nerve, but you stretch the muscles. I think the nerve actually stretches, and that's what gives people such horrible pain, the sciatica. It gets inflamed anyway. So I'm going to take my arms up. I'm looking straight ahead. Now I'm looking towards over that right leg. I'm going to come over. I'm going to try bend my knee, try to grab my big toes with both peace sign fingers, pushing my thumbs into my nail bed, or that skin part right before the nail bed. Helps control blood pressure. It's a pressure point. First, we're just doing long, deep breathing here. This is a static pose. We're wanting the muscles to release and the fascia to release around the muscles. As it releases, the leg may get straighter, or the forehead will get a little closer to the knee. My intention on my 1000th day of practice, consecutive practice, my forehead will reach my knee. It's getting closer. Okay, that's 1 minute with long, deep breathing. Now let's do 30 seconds of breath of fire. The forced exhale through the nose, automatic inhale through the nose. Begin. Big inhale. Hold the breath. Squeeze the bandhas, anus, sex organs, pull navel towards spine. And release. Slide the hands up the legs, sitting up tall, switching the legs out. Now live stretch, nerve stretch. On the left leg, I'm bringing that right leg into my groin. Really sitting up tall. We're stretching all these muscles. Our intention one day they stay stretched rather than just returning to their original state. My hands are over my head. I'm looking straight ahead and I'm looking towards that left side, bending my knee, bringing my hands down, getting my peace sign fingers on that pressure point of the big toe, the thumbs on the pressure point. The peace sign fingers are just grabbing behind the big toe on the meaty, fleshy part. Trying to get my forehead closer to the knee. It's organic. You can't force it. It just happens with time and practice. You're all looking great. You might feel stretching happening in the lumbar, the hips, the IT band. Okay, now let's go for 30 seconds of breath of fire. Big inhale. Squeeze the bandhas. Hold the breath. Stopping the energy flow for a few moments. And release. Let's do it one more time. Big inhale. Hold the breath. Squeeze the bandhas. And release. Feel your legs as you're coming up. Now you're going to lie on your back. This is so fun. We get to kick our buttocks for 1 minute. I'd love to take a video someday, but I'm not going to. So my hands are just at my side, my arms are at my side, my palms are just down on my mat. I'm bringing my legs up perpendicular to the floor and I just begin to kick. Very stimulating for digestion, stimulates the body. 1 minute. This Kriya is very energizing. This may be one of the reasons. All week I've had incredible energy. Wow, you're all really going for it. I don't know if you can see your camera, but it's pretty good. Okay, take the soles of the feet, just rest them. Yesterday we did a little rest in between. I think I'll do it again today. Take a block and just place it under your sacrum, right there at the lumbar spine. You'll be in a supported bridge. It's a really nice, relaxing pose. Helps trigger the parasympathetic nervous system for rest and digest. Now lift the pelvis, remove the block. We're going to do these leg piston. This is different than bicycle because as each leg fully extends. So it's in, out with a full extension, inhaling, exhaling every time you move for 1 minute. All the breath through the nose. One minute doesn't seem like very long, but when you're doing piston pose, you'll feel it. I have my lumbar pushed into the mat. You can also slide your forearms under your buttocks if you want a little more security for your lumbar. Ten more seconds, you're doing it. And take the feet down, just the feet flat on the mat. Take a few moments of rest. Now this next pose, I'm going to use the chair for it. So just roll over onto your side, use your palm to carefully come back up. You're going to move towards your chair. So we're going to do a plank pose. So the easiest way is get your hands around your chair. I'm on my knees, my toes are curled under, I'm pushing up. Then I'm going to try to come back into a plank pose. So make sure the chair is secure. You could also do it on a bed, or Medea might do it on her sofa. Let's just keep the toes curled under. Try to draw the heels towards the mat. That helps pull the buttocks down and be in alignment. It's a very engaging pose. I can feel my shoulders really engaged. Really working the heart muscle here. And now step forward, come down onto your knees. You're going to come right back onto your back. This is the peak pose, I believe. Yes. It's the peak pose in the Kriya. So I'm lying back. It's a stretch. So when I give the call, we'll lift our legs 6 inches. We'll lift our arms up and we'll lift our head up, looking at our feet. You can roll your forearms under the buttocks to protect the lumbar spine if you'd like. Let's begin. Inhale. It's long, deep breathing. I'm just looking at my feet. Obviously, I have to engage my core, my lumbar. We might only go 45 seconds. This is really hard. You can always drop out for a moment, get a little rest, and come back in. 10 more seconds, we'll be at 1 minute. And slowly take it down. Oh, just rest for a moment. Okay, you can roll over onto your side, and we're coming back up into a seated position, easy pose for the last asana of the Kriya. If you haven't hydrated, I suggest it. Okay. This heart-centered stretch for healing. Prana, the home of the pranas in the heart. Maybe just feel this whole part of your body. The ancients called this anahata, which translates in Sanskrit as unbroken, unhurt. Knowing this is where we feel grief, disappointment, loss, rejection. So in this asana, we're asked to extend our own arms open really wide so the heart becomes open and vulnerable. Then it becomes isometric. I make fists and I'm drawing them in towards my chest. It's like the fly machine at the gym. And once I hit my chest, I can exhale. Maybe through your mouth to make it more dramatic. Inhaling again. 2 or 3 big inhales here in this big open. I'm embracing life. I'm living large. I'm open to life in whatever way it comes. Making that fist slowly, bringing it to the chest. Last time, opening up big. 2 or 3 big inhales here. This time, as my hands come forward, they're going to come into prayer. Hands don't touch though. Big inhale. And slowly, fingers are pointing up to the ceiling. I'm coming about 4 inches away. Looking at that space between your hands. Maybe you bring your palms, they almost touch. You feel the heat, right? Mentally concentrate on the heat between the palms. If you try to draw the palms apart, can you maintain that sense of heat? In Paramahansa Yogananda's book, Autobiography of a Yogi, one of Steve Jobs' favorite books, we talk about the yogis who can sit in the snow and generate so much heat they melt the snow around their bodies. Now bring the hands to prayer. They actually touch. I like to take the prayer lower where my forearms are perpendicular to the mat. It makes me be a little more conscious of the pose. Look down at your prayer hands, Anjali Mudra. Just breathing long and deeply. Close the eyes and think about the pituitary gland right at the base of the hypothalamus, part of your endocrine system. Now you maintain this prayer posture. I'm trying to bring the prayer hands to the mat, rolling forward on my knees and bringing my head to my prayer hands. In this pose of surrender, just breathing long and deeply for 1 minute. Conscious of your sixth sense, your third eye, sixth chakra. Slowly coming back up. 2 minutes, meditation, thumb, index finger touching, resting on your thighs, knees. Be in whatever seated pose is comfortable. All the movement has prepared you for this pose. Where is your breath? Where are your thoughts? Identify your emotion. Now lie back in your Shavasana. 7 minutes. You can put your legs on a chair if you'd like. It's very similar to legs up against the wall, Viparita Karani, or you could do legs up against the wall. You can also just place a bolster right under your knees. This helps the parasympathetic nervous system engage more quickly. Your rest and digest, lowers blood pressure, lowers heart rate. I'll bring you back with the bell. Begin to breathe together, inhaling through the nose. Ah, use that audible sigh. Inhale through the nose. Ah, one last time. Inhale through the nose. Ah, use your vocal cords. Stretch the fingers, the toes. Maybe you can move the ankles and the wrists. If your legs are on a chair, you'll want to just roll to one side. Try to move the chair out of the way so you can do some spinal rolls or spinal twists. Elongating the spine. You've had a full body workout. Your body will tell you where it may need a little more twisting, turning, stretching. Happy baby. A figure 4, the modified pigeon pose, although we already did the real pigeon, Ekapada Kapotasana, during the Kriya. Stay connected to your breath. Then when you're ready, slowly make your way back up to the seated position. Bringing our hands to prayer position. Acknowledging everyone in the virtual space, and if you tuned in at a later date, we're acknowledging you now and future time. Thank you, Sarah. Thank you, Dave. Thank you, Mimi. Thank you, Medea. Thank you, Pablo. Thank you, Janet. Thank you, Melanie. Thank you, Roberta. Thank you, Rodney. Thank you, Susan. And I think maybe thank you, Matthew. Susan says yes, one of their sons. We'll close with the longtime sun. Please sing with me. May the longtime sun shine upon you, all love surround you, and the pure light within you guide your way on, guide your way on, guide your way on. Satnam, Satnam, Satnam. Take your hands in prayer, thumbs up to the pituitary gland, third eye, sixth sense, sixth chakra. Conscious of your intuitive nature, your wisdom self communicating with you at all times. We bow to each other and we say, Satnam.